Yeah, we had our corny moment, everybody. So what? But this is how we have fun. I can't be there for my homie. She don't have a lemon in her tea with her just yet. So I said, aha. Right before we got on, I said, visualize the lemon. But yeah, everybody, we are here. It's live Sunday morning.
Live.
Yeah, buddy. And what we got on deck today is an extension of the koi experience, but this one is the black swan, everybody. So when you see this picture you're gonna see, oh my goodness. Did you share it already, Nadine, or is it done deal?
Yes, I did. I shared it on our Facebook group. If you're
Oh,
not a
right.
member, sign up and you can get a link
Okay.
to the
Th-
picture.
there it is. Bang. And then now on the Zoom, we are here. We are here. When you see this picture, or if you have seen the picture, I'm looking at it now, everybody. It still gets me. Even though I got the drawing of the oh boy is koi up still, you know what I mean? That one was done. This is the second drawing of that one, everybody. But just want to lead off with that before I go head on and how would you say, turn this into a blank sheet here. You see, real easy. Real easy. Uh-oh, the other side fell down. No problem though, everybody. Get that out the way. I grabbed this side. Yeah. Oh boy. Oh yeah. There we go. Up. Put that up there like that. Press that bull clip, and we're back in place. All right. Look at that. Nice clean sheet of paper. Yeah. Soon we'll have better lights and everything, everybody again. And we might have multiple angles again soon to come. Everybody keep your fingers crossed. Put the prayers in the universe for Don, just like that creative visualization of the lemon. Everybody visualize the lemon for Nadine. Send her lemon thoughts.
I
Guarantee
need
if
them.
right, if you send her lemon thoughts and say in your mind and send it to her, you know what I mean? Like it's a phone call in your brain, and you say, clear her voice box, make her esophagus feel better. Yeah. Wait a minute, hold on. I think she's gonna feel it. I'm sending mines to everybody. Yep. Now I'm going back to the corniness of it again. I'm bringing the lemon. Let's paint and draw along on Facebook. Join. Yeah. Come on, everybody. Join in. Join us in so we can all salute the lemon today. The power of the lemon. And the swans, everybody. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh boy. Oh boy, is Koi had me open, everybody. I don't know about y'all guys, but oh boy, is Koi was fun. So the swan thing, oh man. Did you share the picture yet, Nadine? Or I'm talking about on screen with us yet, just yet. I turned my head. Okay. Yeah. So we can look at that and, analyze it. Because remember what we said, you guys, as a suggestion, what you should always do is observe your photo or your source material. The more you observe it, the more information you get to come in, the more ideas you'll have, the more thoughts you'll have, the more your hand will have to go on. You see everybody? Yeah. Look at those swans. Now you can crop the picture if you wanted to, so it's just around. You put that box just around those two swans if you wanted to. We can do one swan if you wanted to. We can change the direction of one swan. Yeah, just like that. Yep. Zoom right in and say, okay, that's my picture right there. Whether you zoomed in with the digital screen, or you just went ahead on and looked and said, yeah, I'm gonna crop it right around there, like we normally do. But then how are we gonna do with the swans and everything, everybody? Basic shapes as always. Yeah. So let's see here. Let's see here. All right. Check it out, Nadine. Want me to go to our eraser board again and start it there? Give us a little idea of the basic shapes of the swan on the eraser board before I get started.
Sounds good.
All righty then. Let me see. Now that I said that, where is my eraser marker? I just had it in my pocket too. Yeah. Yep. Give me a small second, everybody. My headphones are long, but they're not that long. It's really, oh no, there it is. I can take you guys with me on the adventure. Run enough cord. Yep, so now we're gonna get this the eraser markers, everybody, first, right? Or at least the ones that I'm going to use today. Just show real quick some ideas and some thoughts about that swan. How to get our basic line idea by looking at the edges first. Okay. You know, taking it through our line shape, uh, form, light, and surface idea, so that we can look and see what's going on with our swans and how to start that idea off, everybody. So if you have another piece of paper, you can use it like as if it's like a note-taking situation. Yeah, there you go. Ooh, ooh. Yeah. Let me move this over so I can see I got my photo in the way. There it is. Yeah, what's that say? Like, comment. Yeah, like, comment. Like, comment. Use a red marker, Nadine. Something that jumps out. All
I
right,
gotta go to the other room.
Oh, okay.
Let
Well,
me
look, I'm about to jump on the board real quick. Maybe that'll give you some time. We'll see what happens. Let's see if Don. All right. Okay. Oh, hold on. There. Okay. And now, there we go. All right. We're gonna start it right there. I'll do it right there. And this way, we turn back. It'll be a matter of doing that. Okay. All right. So we're on the eraser board, everybody. All right. Sorry for the lights. That's a little bit of lights we do have in here that's reflecting off the board. Take our time, everybody. It's like I tell people in my classes, you know, I mean, no need to rush. Rush, you miss out on something. Hey, everybody. You see me with my Keep Creating t-shirt on. Yeah, there it is. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, okay. Enough of the clowning, right, everybody? I'm only doing that because Nadine's voice is on the low, low. All right, we see us here. All right, right here. All right. Let's get some basic shapes going. So if I was doing the swans alone and I wasn't thinking about trying to show anybody anything, this is how I would think. I would put a smaller circle for the swan's head, and then looking at the direction of the bill, I would put the bill in like so, in the direction of where it is. Not in the how would you say, the direct form of what it is, but just in the area of where it is. You see? And then the neck. You know, the whole key in the beginning, you know. Now, this is if you're doing it in pencil. You see, then now you would do the bigger shape here, like so. All right. You see that? Hold on, let's move over a little bit more. There we go. All right, everybody. So you see a couple of basic shapes already here, here, you see? The body was one oval there, you see? They're on the water. Now, if we look, we can say, okay, one wing is back here. I would make a shape for it like so. The other wing is here. I would just put a basic shape there just to see where things are. Maybe erase out and things like that if I was doing it in pencil. You see, to really show where those things are. Just showing a basic shape now. I'm just doing this to show how you would simplify it, you know, and then now you would put the tail in because the tail is really in between both wings. And all the feathers try to link together when they lay them to their side. You see? So that's something sort of what I would start off with if I was doing it in pencil. Okay. Now, if I'm doing it in the Sharpie marker, like how we do, you see, the whole thing would be, now what I would do is with the marker, let's make sure this marker works. Okay, cool. With the marker, what I'm doing is this, everybody. Let's move in a little bit more. Let's move this in so you really. Oh boy. There we go. Okay. All right. So now if I look right in here, yeah, all right, this would be a good area right there. There we go. All right, everybody. What I would do if when I'm doing it just with the marker, I would just do the sketching movements first to see where the head is, you see? Then maybe instead of, how would you say, just making a basic shape for the head, I really would make a shape that's closer to what the swan's head is doing. A couple of sketchy marks like so. Then I would show where the bill would come through. So I would take a little bit more time, right? And sketch it in like so with the marker. So you see the difference in intent, everybody? With the marker in my hand, I'm taking it past the stage of just doing a simplification, like in the blue marker over there. Uh-oh, wrong way. There we go. You see everybody? Hold on. There we go. Okay. So if you see that there, the blue one is like if you was doing it in pencil. All right. And when you're first looking at the edges and everything. The black one is if you have the marker in your hand and then your confidence is there too as well, you can look and simulate and use these little sketchy marks like how we talked about before when we were doing the chord. You see how that would work? See that? You know, and then now we would look at the rest of the swan and start to put in the body. You see, same idea, everybody. You see, yeah, take your time. You can see where that arm would be or wing would be there. That's going to the back of the swan this way. You can see how I use that dash line, everybody, to set that up. And I was looking at the swan up top there, the top swan there, you see. And then you could put sketchy lines too as well with the marker to show where the wing is, you see. And this is what I'm exactly going to do when we get started, you see. But just to show you a little slight demonstration so you can say how you would set that up to get started, you see. And then the feathers in the middle here, where the tail feather is. Then you can hypen up the feathers on it, you see. This here, you see. And so you see them side by side, the thought process, you see. One with the thought process of just going straight in with the marker. The other one is in the sky blue. Every time you see me use the sky blue, everybody, what the sky blue is representing is if you use a light, sketchy line. Okay? That's what that blue represents. That blue, that highlighted blue or that skylight blue, or what they call repro blue too as well. But when I use that blue, just know that I'm saying light and sketchy. Your 2H pencil or 4H pencil. You know what I mean? If you choose to go that way to do it like a watercolor, or you're doing a preliminary sketching before the acrylic painting, all that good stuff. Even in this one that we're doing, if you don't feel confident about your marker usage for your line work, then draw it out in pencil first, everybody, and then come back and then use the marker to start filling in. Okay? But that's how we start that way. There's another idea, the same thing now. I'm going to do a blue side and I'm going to do the black side. So, yeah, what I would do is from looking at the photograph, I would start off with placing my swans first. The next part of it is what would we do with the fish, the koi fish again, that's underneath, that looks like they're, under them in the water, but underneath them. How are we gonna make that happen? You know what I mean? Well, let's just look at what the fish are doing. What are we seeing of the fish? We're just seeing the tops of the fish. And with these koi fish, we're seeing those other patterns that we love to see. Not only the gold ones that look like goldfish, big old goldfish, but you got the black and white ones in there. You got the creamy ones in there, all different patterns and stuff that you can take advantage of in the water. But what's the key thing about it that we always talk about, everybody? Look at the edges of them. And what are we seeing? We're seeing the tops of all those fish. You see? Seeing the tops of all those fish. So then what I would do on the blue side to show you, all right, show you on the blue side, which means light and sketchy, which means simplified, real sketchy and stuff. So what I would do is that now I would look at my fishies there, and I'll start looking at basic shapes. Like there's a shape that you can use like so, like a little inner tube, and you would turn it, you see? So say for instance, I want that fish to come from there. I would do like so. Then I would put a line on top and say where the spine is for that one, you see? If you look in there, you can see some fish are already in this position. With the fins on the side, you see, because you're seeing it from the top. See that? Now, some over here. Now, as I go back, what I would do is start making some of them smaller. You see? Maybe make some of them come from the opposite direction where we're seeing the tail first. But make a basic shape, like a cylinder shape. And then put the fin in, you see? The more you do that, the more it's going to look like it's koi. Oh boy, it's koi. You see? Change the direction of some of them, show the head of some of them, turn the tail. You see? These are the shapes I would use, everybody. So yeah, if you look on the board, if you see the board, you know how I'm looking, Nadine, okay? Give me a thumbs up so we don't wear your voice out. We're looking good? All right, yeah, cool. I see the thumbs up. Yeah, all right, everybody. You see that? So now that I did it in blue over here, right? Let's look at it how I would do it if I'm just doing with the black again. So I'm gonna use my black marker and show you the shapes that I would use over here, you see? Like even with my marker stage here, what I would do is just show a halo first of the shadow of the swan, you see? Where things are. See, when I put that shadow in, that's saying that the water is flat. That's another one that you can add, right? Now, after that, then that's when I would come in here, right in there, and then start putting in some of these shapes. I would put them in loosely, put them in loosely, very liberal. But I would make sure that I'm looking at the tops of most of these fish or at worst, the 3/4 side. You see? Have some fish here. Have a tail come here. See how I'm using the sketchy line to set it up, and then now I come back. But they can't look like now that they're jumping out of the water. We don't have anything jumping out of the water, you see? So now when you get it like that, what's going to happen when you go into the space? Well, once I come this way, you get to the top of the fish here. These have to be smaller and flatter, you see? Because they still have to look like they're under. And then now these fish over here can be a bigger size, but still you have to look at them from the idea of the bottom, looking at the top, you see? Turn them left and right. But notice as you get away from the fish, they have to get noticeably a little bit smaller. You see, and if you look at the board there, you see, I moved over a little bit more for everybody to see those shapes. You see, notice how just on the board too, it starts to get that way. But then notice the fish that would be over top here, if you have them, they will be smaller and thinner. You see, smaller and thinner. In other words, the fish that's going to be at the top of your page can't be the same size as the fish at the bottom and underneath of your swans. That's the big thing for this one. So not only, well, we got two things with this one, everybody. So what are some of the two things you see? Well, first, let's write down this other stuff so we all have an understanding, okay, of what we're doing as a suggestion from Don. It's 5 things, everybody. 5. Oh, can you see that? No, let me pay attention to what you guys can see in my areas and where I'm going to write things down. Yeah, there we go. Okay. 5 things, everybody. The mighty 5. It's like your fingers, everybody. Oh, yeah, you can see that. So it's line, shape, let's just say space, light, and finally surface, everybody. These 5 things right here for everyone. Those 5 things is what you're looking for and looking at when you look at any photograph, source material. You're outside looking at somebody to draw or paint, or you're looking at a landscape, urban or suburban or rural to paint. Yeah, you're looking at these 5 things. Let's take it a little bit deeper. If you was going fishing, you know what I mean, or you was going to get your own koi fish so you can put in your own koi pond, then you definitely would look at the lines, the shapes, the spaces, you know, or the form, you see. So another thing for the space is form. You know, are you a form? Am I a form? We all forms. What form is that? Lines are edges, everybody. Try to remember that. Lines are edges. Lines transform, those edges transform into what we say shapes. That's why you would make everything a basic shape, everybody, you see? And then out of those basic shapes, there's only 4 there and combinations of the 4. If you want to look at it as others, that's up to you. But I would say, you know, there are 4. They call them the 4 primes. We all know them: circle, square, rectangle, triangle, and it's combinations in between. Then those shapes that you're seeing or appearing in front of you turn into things that have what? Depth or breadth or form. They take up space. So you're going to allude towards how thick or how thin, how much girth, or, you know, things like that is there to see how much space that particular item is taking up. Then we worry about the direction of the light, which alludes towards what the surface or the texture is doing on the surface. You know, the direction of where the feathers are going, You see, all the feathers, how would you say, if we look at that idea before we get started, all the feathers come back away from the bill. You see, back away from the eyes, around the eyes, it goes down the neck. You see, everything is away from the nose, or away from the bill, or away from the facial features. Comes down the chest, you see. And as it's coming down, it's going down and back. That's how the feather, shoots work. It's just like the hair follicles work too. It's back, down and back, down and back, you see. So when we say surface, we're looking at directional forces and we're trying to see how things is moving. If you look at the swans or anything that has the breath of life, a lot of times or almost all the time, all the surface movement is moving away from the facial features, moving away from the nose of the human being. Notice none of your hair follicles goes towards your nose. It goes away from your nose. The hair on your head, even though you may brush it down in a pattern that's like a crown pattern that comes from the center or the crown of your head, it's still those follicles when they're made, they are leading away from your eyes, away from your nose, away from your mouth. You see, the hair follicles that's in your skin and your epidermis does the same thing. They don't grow, the follicle doesn't turn and go back the other way. If it did, it would cause problems during the birth process, or what they say, the coming forth process. So looking for the directional forces all the time is what's important to everybody. And I try to get people to pay attention to it before we get started, Then you can see how the feathers is going up and then back. You see, and then they close, or they look and appear like they close, but they're able to link in with the other feathers that's on the back here, you see, and on the other feather here, which is going back towards the tail feather and off the tail, and then boom, that's it. Scales on the fish do the same thing. I didn't get to mention that in our old boy's cord. But if you was putting the scales in, the scales move the same way, away from the fish's head, where the eyes and the mouth will be. Yep. What you think, Nadine? I didn't look at the screen to see if you wrote anything down on the board, or I didn't hear you make that attempt to say something. But line, shape, form, light, and surface. Yep. Or you can go line, shape, space, light, and surface. Just remember, everybody, line is the edge. You replicate it as a mark. So this time as a mark, once again, since we're still in our Sharpie phase, we're using the Sharpies to start off. Once again, if your confidence is not there, don't worry about it. Take out your 2H pencil or your HB pencil and draw it out first. Yeah, you see? Look at the whole idea of how the light is, tonality, whether it's dark or light. And then also just look at what the surface quality is, the movement of the surface, directional forces, as they call it. You see the arrows that I put there on the swan to show you the movement of how the feathers should appear. Now, if you look at the picture of the swan that we have, and you have it on digital and you blow it up, you'll see exactly what I'm saying. If you take the time to analyze or observe or look over or digest our source material. Notice how the feathers are facing backwards, back towards the back of the bird. You notice that, everybody? Notice how it's coming down the neck, you see, around the chest in a downward movement to the back of the fowl, or to the back of the bird. Everything does that. If you look at yourself in the mirror, your hair does it to yourself. Your skin follicles, hair follicles do it to self. Men with facial hair does the same thing. All the facial hair is directed away. When you get hair bumps, that's when you have an issue with the follicle and it's doing some, funny growing. You see what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, everyone, directional forces. Just try to remember those 5 things. It's the same thing if I do a class with you privately. I extend that idea even more so on how you would use it to buy things in your house. You're already using it. Subconsciously, you use it all day, every day. You go to the store, if somebody was giving you a ring, the way your hair sits on your head, the designs, all that good stuff. You see? So what you think, Nadine? Anything to add? Anything you wanna chop up? Or what notes? Oh no, okay. All right, let's move forward. So then what does that mean for our drawing? Let's slide over to our board now. Yeah, let's get started. Let's get started, everybody. Boom. So I got that lined up. We have a close-up there of my board there. I'm on the 18 by 24. I believe Nadine is 9 by 12 and 11 by 14, I think, on her board or on her drawing tablet that she's drawing. Yeah, there you go. That one there. 1114, right? Yep, there it is. All right, everybody. So, we did the eraser board thing. Hopefully we have a good understanding. Hopefully some of you that are working with us took that time to really look and digest the photograph, everybody. Really look and digest all your source material. If you're ever out somewhere and you're doing something live, if you're not doing caricatures, digest your scenery, take in the scenery, smell the air, take in the sounds, look at everything. And then after you do that, take a couple of pictures and then get started. Sometimes what you do, 9 by 12. Okay. So she's on a 9 by 12, and then she's on the 1114. No, that's 9 by 12. Okay, that's the 9 by 12 pad. Yeah, check. All right. So you can buy that mixed media paper or you can buy drawing paper, you guys. Or once again, you can buy that ream of paper from Office Max or Staples, the Bristol paper or cardstock or cover stock as they call it. And you'll have a wonderful experience, everybody. Yeah, there you go. That's the cardstock or the 8.5 by 11, you know, paper there. So don't forget now, where are your Sharpies at, everybody? Where are your Sharpies at? Even your dull ones, where are your Sharpies at? Get them all in your hand if you want to. Get it all around you if you want to. Get a couple of them in your hand. That's what I do. I take a couple of them and put them in my hand so then have another one to go by. Yeah, pull out your micro markers if you wanted to, too. In this one, we can use the micro markers to show some of the feather movement. But to just get us started, you know what I mean? Why not? So I'm going to start with the swan. That's right up top there. That dude there, you see, the one that's up top there. And then I'm going to place him. So that first one I'm going to do is, since I know that, center is right around here, you see, and I use it like a guesstimation to say where a guesstimated center is. You can cross the lines if you wanted to have a visual center. So then that helps you to place things like a copy machine, like how the copy machines would do, finding center or having a center like on your 4-in-1 printers at home and things like that. And then you would move things around that central point to be able to place them to get them on a piece of paper the way that you do. Right? Stop it. Yeah. So then look, everybody, when I'm going to start this swan, I'm going to start this swan a little bit over and make the head not but so big, you see. So I really want to play up the swan, you see. So then now that I have that there, I would do a little circle for the eye in the direction that I want that eye, you see. So now if you look, the bill comes from this area right in here and then goes around to the front. Yeah, there you go, you see. So I would get that shape together first, you see. Yeah. So then now I can say where the swan's bottom jaw is, you see. And then now I can see there's another line coming around like so to start formulating the neck. See that? So that's how I would start off. Hopefully everybody can see that. If not, I'll zoom in on it and, we can do another shape of it for everybody. You see? So hold on, let's see here. Oh yeah, you see that now. See that shape, everybody, that I made? Yeah, you see that, everybody. I know. I see it on the screen now. Yep. Thanks, Nadine. Looks good. You see? So then now we have that there, all right? What do we do next? Now I would make the bill. So if you notice, the bill comes in a little bit and then widens at the base or at the opening part of the swan's mouth. So then I would mimic that movement. You see? So now I have that basic shape there. You see that, everybody? I'll worry about the design or whatever that white mark is on the bill of that swan, that beautiful swan, you see? So then now what I would do is I would see how that bill is running. I would try to mimic that movement around the eye, the way that is, you see? Because you have a circle within a circle. So when you're working with just a marker, you can make certain enhancements quicker and faster. You see? Now you can see that the inside of the neck is right before you get to where the bill is. You see? So then now it starts off thin, and then it gets thicker when it comes to the base of the body. You see? Curves in a little bit, and then I would come down and start the neck here like so, you see? Yep. To go right into the body, and then do this idea right here. This is the idea that I was talking about earlier. You see? Yeah, come on, everybody. What yours is looking like. Keep going, everyone. Make that sketchy mark there, Nadine. Half the height of the fish, quarter of the height comes from here. Boom, that's the opposite side of the bird. You see what I'm doing? Those sketchy lines again, sketchy hollow lines, you see? And what I'm going to do in mine is I'm going to bring that other swan even closer to make it even more so about the swans and the fish in that immediate area. So you can do it like how mine's is if you want, or you can go your own route, how you're going to chop. So we'll put that other swan a little bit closer and up and right around in this area right here. So now I'm going to zoom back out. Yep, a little bit more. Did I get it? Yeah, there it is. Okay. A little bit more. We're going to zoom out, possibly, everybody. There we go. All right. Yeah, there we go. Right there. And then down. There we go. So you see the size of the swan I made. Depending upon the size of your paper, you don't want to go but so big now. I went that big because it's 18 by 24 that I'm working on. So now the same thing that you did for this swan up here, and then look, the shot that this person took, because I got it from offline, I would like to say that I was out somewhere and I took this picture, but no, not me. You know what I mean? And then, boy, if Nadine could have saw some black swans when she was out there, man, that would have been fantastic too. But the picture that we got with decoy was fantastic. Thanks again, Nadine. That's what spawned me finding this shot. You see? So then now, look, I would place the other swan. Now, my photograph that I'm displaying, I would zoom out now. and try to zoom it into the position on where I want that other swan. There we go. So like I said, I was putting that swan closer and up higher. So that now we see this swan is holding its head down a little bit more, you see, to get this movement in the neck here. You see that, everybody? So then now I would put that circle here, and then put the bill here. Oh yeah, we got him. Do the same idea on the other one, on this one, as I did on the other one, with the idea of the bill starting off big and then getting thin and then wide at the mouth opening, you see? Yeah. And I'm using the swan as a template to get to what my swan is looking like, you see? But it's going to mimic the black swan that's there. You see the basic shape that I made? And I can make the eye a little bit bigger, you see? Remember, I'm an advocate of, how would you say, you guys being expressionists more so than the exactness of the, I would say, the reality of the idea, the realism. Yeah, there you go. Look at that, everybody. And now I would curve this one in here. You see? And then now you can see how this body is shooting in a different direction. It's not in the same direction, so I wouldn't do the same direction because that would look boring, everybody, you see? So then now what I would do is I would show how this part of the body here is going in this direction. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Here, here. Yep, there you go. And then now I would put a makeshift on where those feathers would be to show the thickness of the bird. You see? And then now we would bring, yep, this part, because the swan is almost like a goose almost, or geese. Same long neck, you see? And then now I'm just getting a basic idea there. You see? Boom. Got my swan in. I can even put extra lines just to say what those feathers might be looking like before I actually draw the feathers out. These are some of the things you can do with your marker. So you see how I got it already, you guys? I took the placement of those two swans and changed them. You know, use the same movement now, the same positioning. You see? You see, and you notice I have those basic shapes looking like they're floating on water, it looks like or feels like. So that's what you want to do to get that feeling to go first. You see, that feeling of the bird feeling like it's floating. You don't see the feet at all. At the base of the water where the bird is, it's spread. You see that, how the bird spreads out? You see, yeah, yeah. You can really see how long that neck is because it's coming down and in like so. If you look at the photograph, you see, because the body comes out just a little bit so you can play with that idea, you see? Then the same thing on this one here. You see, put that little line around the eye to get that to go, you see? Play with some things. Yeah, there you go. Got my basics in there now. You see everybody? Now, what would the next basic thing we would do? Well, remember how we did on the board? We showed the shadow that shows the direction of where the light's coming. So that light is really coming pretty much from the right side here and down to the left there. So then now we make it feel like it's on the water. Notice how that shadow is doing. It's doing what may be mocking those feathers there, you see, but then notice how it cuts close and then wraps, you see. You see, and it goes around. So then now I have the basic idea where the shadow is. It's hollow. You know, where's the shadow for this one down here? And you can see that it comes off the bottom here. See, and that's what I would do here. And then even give some of that current idea that's there. You see that current, little bit of the current there. So I'll make that cut into the shadow. So then I have that effect there already. And then now you notice where the shadow is coming from the side of this bird here. You see? So I will put those all in makeshift, everybody. You see? Yeah, look at that. So we got our basic idea of the fish. Oh, excuse me, not the fish, but of the swans there. Notice how I'm not worrying about the feathers and everything just yet. Notice how I'm not worrying about the wing and where the back of the bird is and everything just yet. If you wanted to look at it, if you wanted to use the length of the neck, I would say if you took the length of the neck, the height of it, and then turn it on the side, you would see that your bird is probably like 2. 1, 2. Yep. If you look at it here, 1, like all I'm saying, you see, turn it to the side, 1, 2. So if you look at the photograph, it's the same thing. Take the height of the bird from where the top of the head is down to where the curve is going on the base of the body. That's the neck. Then turn it side. You know what I mean? Yep, you got that. Now, turn it to its side for the body in a direction, and then you do 1, 2 to get the length of the bird. It's pretty much with these birds, these fowl, the length of the neck is sometimes 1.5 or half the body. Well, because it's in that bending position for it to swim, to do that thing that we all love to see, that we like to make that basic, beautiful shape of the swan. You take it from where the hump is in the chest, you see, and then the top of the curve of the head. That's how you know that's the top of the head of the bird. And then you take that length there on the photograph, and you'll see, if you turn it to a side, it'll be 1, 2 to the end of the bird. And that's how I would do it, to get to some type of common compositional aid to be able to use to get the length of the bird and even the width of the bird, because it'll probably be half of the neck would be the width of the bird, you see? All the way through, and then it tapers down to a triangle to the tail feather. Because the feather sits on top of where the buttocks is. So we'll talk about that split in a few. But let's talk about those fish now. That's what we got to talk about. My goodness. So even for me, you guys, this is a challenging one. You know what I mean? So you got to look at the angle of the fish. You see, look at the angle of the fish. All the fish that we're seeing mainly the tops of them, right? So then I'm looking at those fish that's right in the middle. Like you have one here. Then I'm gonna show the top spine on that one. And that's not a feather, everybody. That's the fish. You see? Then we have one going this way. You see? Then we have one turning in. You see, I'm using what's there. The movements of some of these, you see? Notice how I'm using the idea from the board, put that line on the top, that lets you know where the spine is and we're looking down. So that'll be a reminder for yourself, because what's going to start to happen is it's going to start to fill in. So yeah, then I would make this line a little bit deeper around my bird. I don't want to cover my bird, that edge, and then get down in that edge and then start putting it over by mistake. So, I really want to have that edge a little bit more distinctive, you see, like so. Now, once I got it, I start looking at how some of the fish are, like it's a fish here. You see, and if you was to zoom into that area, you can see a little bit of the eyes and a little bit of the mouth on that one on the top here. But it's underwater though. See the shapes I'm using? Look, you have another one that I can put over the top of this one and say that it's moving. You see, you want to get your flow together on how the fish are moving, where some of them may be at a different depth, you see, and how you're going to show that in the black and white stage and show how the fins are, you see. So you're doing all of this in there now, everybody, even in your shadow area. You want to put some of them looking like they're turning underneath of the fish. You see. See what's starting to happen, everybody? Nadine included. Just take your time, everybody. You know, I can put some doing this now. Make them look like they're overlapping one another in there now. You see? Yeah, there you go. Ooh, I like the way that's starting to look. Starting to really feel like there's some fish in there. And before you go too far with the fish now, look at this idea. You see that long grass that's there? What you think, Nadine? Or would you put oh my? Yeah, oh my. Yeah, buddy. Oh my. Swans and kois. Oh my. Yeah. But now look, if you look at that long grass that's there, now if you want to put that in, I'm going to use it. You know what I mean? I like that idea. See the long grass on the side? Yeah, you see it, everybody? So I'm going to use some of that idea too as well. Like, I want to come over here on the side and make a basic shape. You see? And there's my long grass. Bang. Make it look like it's folding. You see? Put some more long grass in there. You know, put one or two coming out this way. Then overlapping that. Use that overlap that's in there. Makes it feel more natural. But remember, we want to do a black and white version, so that's why we're doing it like so, with the hollows and everything else. You see that, everybody, how we mimic that? And then even I'll put some fish that look like they're in between that in there. You see, you can take our fish shapes and put some of our fish shapes in there. So that sets up the idea on what's above and what's below water. You see what's above and what's below, because it's really going to get tricky when we get up in here. So now when we're up in these areas, these have to be smaller and thinner. You see, and that's how I would do it. And if you look at the picture, you can see how they're like that in there. You see? And they're not, and the way to make us believe this, they're not as big as the other fish. You see how I did it small there? Now you can do more of them where they're stretched out more, you see? And whereas you're not really seeing the rear fin, you see? The whole thing is you want to have them looking like they're not on the same plane. They're underneath the fish, even though it's underneath the swans, even though it looks like it's above and around the swan, like it's on the same level. Nope. If you really look, you can see. And then you can really go in with some of these shapes here. You know. The story on why the swans are attracting these fish so is because what they do is they take some of the stuff, the pellets and things that they're getting fed, and they'll, how would you say, scoop some into the water. And as they're swimming around, they're scooping more and more into the water, so the fish start to follow them to feed. And then what happens is they'll snatch one or two every now and then when they're hungry, and then they'll hit them with some more feed. So I think that's a genius thing these birds figured out. You know, that's a beautiful thing. Nature is at work. You see? You see? But then now you still have that current idea, but the current and turbulence is more so going over top of them. So then I would make it so that some of this movement here, that's water movement now, you see? And the reason why I'm doing them horizontal like that is to make it feel like it's on the top of the water, like where the swans are. And the more you put those lines through, the more your eye is going to want to feel like it's laying down. So notice how I have those fish shapes smaller up here. And I even put one or two even smaller going away. You see, even smaller to push the idea, you see even more. Because the smaller and the thinner or more elliptical you make these fish up here, the more believable the effect of them being under the water underneath of the swans becomes a reality to your viewing audience. You see? Try to bring back some of the fish so you can see the fish underneath the fish shapes. Notice how I'm not worrying about the patterns and the colors just yet. Nope, not going to worry about that just yet. I'm worrying about placement. I'm worrying about using the idea that the photograph is presenting for us. Just like Nadine's photograph did, the same thing. You know, it's telling us where things are. See, I can make one of these fish look like it's swimming directly underneath of this fish here. You see? I mean, directly underneath of the swan here. And then directly, some of the fin is underneath of the other fish here. So notice if you look at the board, you can, look at my drawing board, you can see how I'm alluding towards the idea of things overlapping by doing layers. Then we're playing with the idea of distance by changing the size of the shape of the fish. You see? As soon as I make these fish smaller up in here, it alludes towards the idea of distance. You see? The whole thing is you can't, and then as you come down, these fish in this area can't be as small as these fish. Or the number of smaller fish can't be a whole bunch in this area the same size. Some of these have to be bigger. The fish down here, down around the swan, would be the biggest fish because it's you want to control the focus idea, how I'm seeing it, far and near, close and far away. And then the other thing is too, you're trying to show the idea of what? Above and below. Yeah, check that out. See the same thing we can do here. Now I can come underneath for some of the things that we did there to show shapes of fish inside of the shadow. Yeah, you see, yeah, one here. You know, because sooner or later it's going to get kind of confusing. Why? Because you're going to have so many beautiful fish in your pond underneath of these swans. Yeah. Every now and then you can put an eye on one or two because it's tipping its body towards the side to look up. You see, so every now and then, even on some of mine, you'll see the eye on the side here. You see. And notice how I'm just putting a circle for now, not really worrying about it. If I wanted to, now I can start making up an idea of a basic pattern for that black in there on some of the fish that are black and white, you see. So now I come in and I do things like that now to show where some of those black dots are on the fish, you see. And you can do them random. You see, you can do them as random as possible. Some of them are, they have the gold on them and they have the black and white pattern. You see, so if you look around, you'll see some phenomenal stuff inside the photograph. You see, oh yeah. Yeah, just zoom in and just go around the fish and zoom in, Nadine. You can see where the patterns, yeah. You see the pattern. Oh well, it's too pixelated there. Roll back a little bit. Right there, yeah, right there. You see? And so now you would look in these areas, yeah, in there, roll around, look around the sides of the fish and stuff. And now you can see some of the sides of the eyes of the fish. You see, you can see the fins and everything else like that. So it doesn't matter what area you look at, everybody, just look around and you can see, look around the photograph. Look at the size difference of the fish. You know what I mean? In certain areas, you know. Yeah. You see my swans are in there. You know, now when we start worrying about what's that you wrote on your board there? Be right back or something like that, I think. Yep, everybody, but we keep on moving. Stay focused, everybody. Put more things in. You can put those designs in for the black and white fish, like I was saying. That pattern exists on a lot of the fish that's in this pond. You see, a lot of the koi fish in there have these black and white pattern or the black pattern on them. You see, and you can randomly look in and see them. Some are everywhere in the piece. And then all I would do is just come in and just pick a couple of them that would be that, you see. And the minute I put those dots on the fish, look what happens, you see. I put those black dots on some of my fish shapes here, everybody. You see, it's not a real, how would you say, you don't have to beat yourself up now and think that there has to be a certain specific design. No, if you look at the fish that's in the pond, each one of those fish with that black pattern on it, it's all a different random design based upon how they responded. Just like our fingerprints are, everybody. No one fingerprint is the same. So no one pattern on an animal is the same, you know, in nature. These are some of the things you just learn and teach yourself, you know what I mean, which is good stuff, you know, especially if you apply the ideas of what nature shows you, you know, keep doing things. And now I would worry about where the feathers are. So then now the feather for this is right around there and it'll stop because he's folding it in or she's folding it into the other feathers that are there. The tail feathers and the wing feathers mesh together. And then now you'll see how this line here is the top of the wing being folded into where the neck is here. You see, and that's where that wing is in the front. You see, same thing here. If you look in here, this wing is right around here and then it comes up here. to mesh into the rest of the feathers that are here, you see. But then now you can see where what? You can see where the wings are, and then now you can see where the tail feather is underneath, where the water is here, you see? And now you see a little depression right here. It goes down where the neck is here, here, and then now you can see where all these feathers get smooth, and you see a little hump here. That's the muscle for the wing, everybody. You see? Yeah. Try to make a more distinctive line now to say where the water line is and where the bird's body is in the water. You see? But this is where a lot of the confusion can start coming in. You see? But you definitely want to keep that idea on what's water, feather, and fish. Where are these things at? And you see how I'm trying to make a more permanent, darker line around the top of the bird. So then in this way, it makes it easier to see the differences between the bird, the water, and the fish. And also our long, grass. You see, because now you can put a line underneath like this to see where a shadow would be. You see, for that grass. You can put a line down the middle. You see what the spine of the grass looks like. You see, put a couple of extra light lines here to say that shadow, is on the grass. Put a shadow on that one. I'll put a shadow on this one. You see, just by putting a couple of lines. So then this way, I already know my purpose of this line drawing is for it to set up the parameters. So then when I come back with my markers or color pencils or like how we doing here on this one and the other ones that we did, the watercolors. Yeah, you see, nice solid line. For the long grass, you see. Because you want to be able to make those differences, everybody, the differences between items. What's grass, what's water, what's swan, what's fish. Keep going, everybody. Keep doing. Looking good, everyone. Looking good. See, this is where I would worry about, that black and white pattern on the fish in some areas. Then I would go over, fill in some areas if I'm not liking the way the fish populations is in that area, then I'll make some more. Maybe use some of the fish shapes that I had from the last one, the oh boy is koi that we did. So show some of the fins on some of these fish, you see. Remember, show them from different sides and different views, you see, moving in different directions. That allude towards the randomness even more. But some of them with fins, some of them without fins. When you do that, everybody, that's going to make your viewing audience believe even more that we're outside and that those fish is underwater. You see? You can make some of the lines on the swan a little bit more consistent. Not so sketchy, just make some of them a little bit more permanent, everybody. A more permanent and continuous line there, you see? And once you do it, it adds character to your piece, everyone. It helps for when you're going to do that black and white picture of your drawing. So then this way you can have it as a nice start for, if you have your kids around or grandkids around, everybody, or you're a substitute teacher in school, you can print these off and have the kids follow along. or you can have more your progressive kids. How would you say draw it on their own? You see? So yeah, draw it out, have it as a black and white and pure line as much as possible. And then we're going to take a picture of it in the long run. Yeah. You see? Now, for some of you that are really looking at it and saying, oh, I see all these scales, I see all these feathers. This is where, when you get it to this point, if you really do want to, and it's starting to really, how would I say, not bother you, but it's starting to make you have slight anxieties because you want to start showing the movement of the feathers and maybe some fish and things like this. This is where you can take your micro markers, and I would go on the swans and really show the movement of the feathers and things like this. Try to make some of these things more solid. Just remember what we said earlier on the board. All the feathers go away from the head. Anything that has a mother now, I'm going to add that on. Anything that has a mother, all of their surface movements are away from the head. Anything that has a mother, anything that has a face, all surface movements move away. All pertinent items move away from the face. There's an aquatic being like that lives underneath the water. If you notice the scales on fish, they move away from the front of the fish, from the head of the fish. That means that roundness of the scale is not turned the opposite way. If it did, the fish wouldn't be streamlined and they would have drag in the water and then they can't really get away. See? Same thing with the feathers. If the feathers are faced the other way, that causes drag. The bird can't really get away and get up and pass. Then that means that the bird can't move properly and it's going to possibly have an accident sooner or later. Yeah. Yep. It does work. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yes, indeed, everybody. Keep going, keep going. Keep going, keep moving. Yeah. It's at 11:36, everybody, and should be almost done this drawing. I mean, the only other thing that you can play with at this point when you're trying to simplify it, everybody, is how would you say? You would play with the intricacy of the feathers now, once you're happy with the placement of some of those fish and the underwater movement. Yeah. Put as many of those shapes around as you can to make us believe those water movements underneath there. You see, I'm just gonna go ahead on in and start dropping in a whole bunch of them in certain areas so I can give that randomness feeling. And you can see how some of them are loosely grouped together. You see? And just remember now, the fish up here can't be as big as the fish down at the bottom there. The minute you do that, we have an issue. Houston, we have an issue. See? I'm just using random movements, everybody, that I see in the source material that we have. You see? Now this is where you can come back and really darken in some of these lines on the edges to really make it a smooth one. You see? Put a little line across the bottom that differentiates so you can show the bottom bill and the top bill idea. You know? Yeah. I'm not stressing it, everybody. I'm just putting it in. Yeah, mine might not look like exactly like these beautiful swans that we got there, but I'm happy with the movement that I have. Feels like a bird to me, feels like a swan to me. You see, I mimic what's going on the bill here. You see, I can show some of that stuff. You see, as soon as we put it in there, it starts to get more and more descriptive. You see, what you want to do is you want to gradually build, everybody, gradually get your structures together. Yeah, it'll take me a sip of coffee before I start talking like Nadine, man. Oh, she didn't hear that one. She didn't crack
I
me.
heard it. I
Oh,
heard
there it is. Okay.
I was coughing. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Mm. Yeah, I didn't see some of what you was writing on the board because it gets small on my side because your picture gets small, and then I'm looking at the bigger of the swan drawing. But then when I zoom it in, I get to see what you're writing. So
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. Poor
Okay.
Nadine. I know it's killing her not to say what she wants to say.
Right. Oh my
I
God.
already know the deal. Like, oh my God, I can't talk the way I want to. But if you look, everybody, you see we have the basic idea there. And on Nadine's, when we saw it in the brief one, you can see how she got her basic shapes in there.
Yeah.
You see, and then once you get them in there, now you start playing with things on the surface of these ideas. Just remember, though, those fish at the top of the page cannot be the same size as the fish at the bottom around that one swan at the bottom. It got kind of cold, so it's like a latte now, everybody. No.
Yeah.
You see, and then now you can put a couple of lines to show where the shadow is, you see. Because if you notice, you can see in the shadows of the swans on the water's top, you can see some of the fish coming through from underneath. So you would make a mark that looks like a ripple. It's a couple of diagonal lines, the same way that you're seeing them on the screen. You try to mimic them that way. Right over top of the fish that you got there, so it plays even more so into the idea of that surface being flat and continuous, you see, and expansive. Yeah, see, it feels pretty expansive. Is there more things I can put in there? Yeah, I'm not done yet. You know how we do, everybody. We're not going to rush, because we got a lot of coloring to do in this one. And then in this one, when we do start coloring in, we can't make the water darker than the fish. I mean, darker than the swans. You see that, everybody?
Yeah.
So this is going to be a tricky one. We're really going to understand tonality after this one. If we didn't catch it a little bit in our fish that we in our Oh Boy Is Koi series, then you're definitely going to get that idea in this one, because the beauty of the swan is it's dark, right? But it's not as dark as the water. So that's why the goldfish is giving us that type of like TV effect almost underneath of the swans. Beautiful scene. As soon as I saw it online, I was like, oh no, Nadine, we got to do this one next, man. You know what I mean? And she was like, oh yeah, Don, okay, all right, let's go. So yeah, everybody. So you see how I did. I did the swans a little bit larger to eliminate a lot of the exterior area, to control how many of the fish I was going to have to put in. You see, if you're on your piece of paper or on your format, you even could be on your canvas if you wanted to be. It's up to you. Remember, we're doing watercolor with this, everybody. Watercolor or your markers if you want. You know what I mean? It's definitely your Sharpie. So we did the drawing in Sharpie, and we're going to continue more of the drawing in Sharpie. You see? I just want to take some time to discuss some of this stuff so that you have an idea or a thought of what you need to look for how you would change things up. Look at how I'm not looking to be perfect to the idea of the photograph, how we use the positioning of the swans, to set up how I drawing would be. Try not to put the birds in the same direction. If you notice, the swan on the bottom, even in the photograph, is more horizontal than the bird on the top. The bird in the top view is more on a diagonal coming towards us or coming towards the other swan. See that, everyone? Yeah, way to go, way to go. So, if you use that idea, it'll start to have the eye lead in a certain way. So it almost gives us that triangular idea too as well. Like some of those Renaissance people would use as a composition aid and all that good stuff, everybody. Yeah. Would I worry about the patterns of the swans just yet? The way the feathers are moving? Not necessarily. You know what I mean? I wouldn't beat myself up about it. But what I would do is get my markers ready now, my micro markers. That's what I'm looking for now. I got a bag of those too, everybody. See, there you go, down at the bottom. There we go. All right. Whew. So now I have the micro markers, everybody. I would use the 0.08 once again. 0.08, everybody, not the 0.5. 0.5, that marker, that tip is rather small. You see what I'm saying? And then the double O's and triple O's are definitely real small. So if you wanted to be very intricate, then you can use those smaller markers to make more intricate movements on the surface. Me, myself, everybody, I like to use that 0.8 because it gives me just enough of a small line with the Sharpie to seem like it's intricate movements on the surface. You see, everyone? So I would take my micron that I have here, my Pigma micron 0.08. You see, I don't know, let me get a little bit closer there so you possibly can read it. There we go. Your micron, you know what I mean? Micro marker, Pigma on top, it says. Pigma micron 0.08. You see the 0.08 there? There you go, everybody. And there you have it. So, and it even has 0.08 on the cap. You see? Oh, let me get it. I got it upside down. 0.08. There we go. You see? So now I would come in here, and now this is where, like, even if I'm working in this one, come on, let me see if I can get a little bit closer now. There we go. And I'll move it here. Try to get a little bit closer. Can I get a little bit closer? Oh, yeah, there you go. All right. So now what I'm saying is, if I look at my swan and then zoom in on the swan surface, once I have the swan where I want it, then I go to my photograph that I'm using as a source, and then I look at the movement of the swan. So then look, most of this stuff is black going this way. So it's going back that way. So I would do marks that are going backwards away. See that, everybody, what I did in there? And then around the eye area. So then most of these marks I can use now. Some of those are going to disappear when you start putting the color in. So then this way, this is where I would start putting these marks in, feeling like they're going away to set up that appearance of the feathers on how smooth they are. See, then this is where I would play in some of the darker areas here to really show that movement. And it's a feather movement that's just going down because all the feathers on the neck are smaller, you see?
Oh,
And
yeah.
then, yeah. So then as you do that, I take the smaller marker and just make a a movement that mimics those. You see? And when you have this micro marker in your hand, it's smaller, so you can move slower if you want, or you can use a scrumbly line like how I'm doing that mimics the idea on what the feathers are. You see? Back here, it's a little bit darker, so then now I would use that idea even more. And if you notice, if you look at the screen, you can see how those marks are starting to accumulate to feel like feathers or give the illusion of a feather type effect. All it is just a scrumbly little ovalet movement that I'm using, but I'm trying to mimic the movement of what I'm seeing in the photograph. Now, these feathers are going to turn to the side now. You see, so then I would come back here and then make up a pattern for what I'm seeing on how big. And they overlap like how the scales of the fish did. You remember that, Nadine, when we talked about that? So the feathers move in the same way. The feathers overlap like how scales overlap on the fish, you see? And then they're in this diagonal coming down across the back type of thing, you see? Where they look kind of white or lighter than the others. And it forms like a quasi pattern on the bird. You see that?
Yeah.
So then what I'm doing is just mimicking that movement of those feathers and how they're moving. You see? Yep, there you go. I feel comfortable with mine. I'm gonna keep it going. Yeah. Once you get that makeshift shape of the feather, then you just go in and you mimic what's happening in there. And as you get to the tail feather, you'll notice that those are the biggest feathers. You see all this movement in here is moving around, you see. And then the feathers, as you get towards the neck, the feathers get smaller. You see, they get smaller and smaller, and then they pretty much turn in. What's on the chest and what's on the neck is the same type of feather, those small feathers. And remember, all your marks should come away from the fowl's face once again. And I put some marks in here, the darkness in here. You see, you really can start getting us to see some stuff now. You know, but I would take my time. I wouldn't rush it because you're going to have to do the same thing in some of the fish, the same thing in the ripples in the water. You see? So yeah, you can notice how I have that couple of the fish there with the black and white patterns on them. You see when they're closing up. Look at the feathers on the back end of the bird. Try to concentrate on that. Pull your other Sharpie back out to show us where the bird and the shadow is, you see? So then now I would do some lines like this to make it darker to say where the shadow is of the bird. You see? And then that anchors the bird down. So if I put some of these horizontal lines or make them look like water flow lines to allude towards the bird's movement in the water, will make it darker at that base line where the bird's body is touching the water. Soon as I make that line darker, because we can come back and put that lightness in there like how we did in the Oh Boy Is Coy. We learned in there that we can come back with the acrylic paint and in the white or the gouache white, you know what I mean, and tint it with the watercolor. But in the black and white version, what we want to do is we want to play and make that shadow come in. See how I have it at the bottom there? As soon as you put that little bit of darkness in, and it's all in the idea of like it's like flowing, you know, you want to play with that idea of that flow movement off the bird, you see? And let it go over some of the fish, you know, those lines. As soon as you do that overlapping line of the flow of the water or the current of the undertow of the water in these areas, it's going to feel like even more so like, look, see how right here I have the eye of the fish underneath that we drew out earlier, but then look, when I do some of these lines over top,
Wow.
see how that looks like we're looking through now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You see? And that's what you want to do, because now we know that top layer is with the bird.
Mhm.
So now when you have that, you know, your fish in areas where you want to have them, then you would come back every now and then in here. And like I'll put, see how this fish is here? I mean, this bird is here, right? Then I'm
Yeah.
going to put some of the undulating wave movements as a diagonal over top of some of my fish here.
Right.
And you see what that does? See how that fools the eye? And the same thing with this,
Yeah.
with the bird up here.
Mhm.
I would look up here, right, at the bird here, and then reinforce that shadow there by making a couple of extra darker lines. But what? Horizontally speaking, you see, and right at the edge of the fish, I mean, the edge of the bird.
Yeah.
You see, the minute that you do that, that sits the bird up on top of the water. I wouldn't do it with my micro marker. I would do it with the original Sharpie first.
Gotcha.
You see? And then now if I look at my photograph, I can mimic how that water is looking. All right, that one's not a good marker for that. So that's why you have a couple of markers with you, everybody. So then this way you can get in there. You see? And you want to show us where the shadow is. So you do some of those lines on where you said the bird's shadow is, and leave some openings in some of those darknesses. And you'll see how whatever fish that you put close to the swan, it'll start looking like it's under the water.
Gotcha.
You see? Even in this area here, I'm going to mimic that movement of the water, seeming like it's flowing around the bird here. Maybe leave some light areas open in there so I can put some sky blues and things like that in there. Can you see that, everybody?
Oh, yeah.
That's the close up. It's starting to really make the bird look like it's moving. You see, and then I go to where the edge of some of the shadow is and put some darks in there. And then wherever some of the fish are, put some darks or some flowing lines of the water over top of the fish. You see? And the minute that you do it and you mimic these movements, the eye and your human audience is going to either fight against you, or it's going to say, yeah, that really does look like something's floating on water and something's underneath of it. So then now what I'll do is I'll zoom out. Oops. So we can get the full feeling now. Now you see what's happening now, Nadine?
Oh, yeah.
So now you really can feel like that those swans are on top of the water. So then
Mhm.
now when you have those shadows going like that underneath the swans and stuff, now you can mimic that movement away from the swans, those lines and things. The power of water. Yeah. Yep, yep, yep. Because once you get it, you got it. It's the same thing like in the Old Boy is Coy. Oh, let me pull that drawing out. It's still with us. You see, and if you look at Oh Boy Is Koi, we did the same thing here with these lines here to show where the light parts would be, remember?
Oh,
So
yeah.
then if you did that there, it's the same thing here, except for now, we're not doing it over our main characters. We're doing it under everything to say that something is below our main scene, you see? And sure, there's more things we're going to do, everybody, but that's just the start. You know the deal. If you're a maverick, everybody, and you explored forward, keep moving forward then, you know? We look at the tape today and see how to start your piece off as a suggestion. Remember the 5 things that we talked about over here on the board, you see? Remember our 5 things: line, shape, form, light, and surface, or line, shape, space, light, and surface. You see? And I'll put us back there, right on our marker board there. So yeah, that's pretty much it, everybody, for today. I wouldn't beat ourselves up too much, you know what I mean? Yeah, the mighty 5. Yep. Yep. It's just like making a fist on your hand. Each finger can be one of those things. So I would do it like this. I would go line, shape, form, light, surface. Make your fist. You see? That's it. 5 fingers of death. The almighty 5. The mighty 5. Yeah. And just remember, line breaks down into edges. So when you're looking out and you see an edge, you're going to replicate it as a line, and you call it a line. You see, shapes, there's only 4 of them, and it's the combination of those 4 that make all the shapes that we see in our world. Those shapes transform into what we call forms. Forms meaning breadth, you know what I mean? Meaning depth, how thick, how much girth, how much space does it take up, how dense it is, you know what I mean? Light leads into the color or the tonality, how dark and light something is, how bright an area is, how dull an area is, or it turns into how bright a color is, or how dull a color is, or how pure a color is, and how impure the color is, you see? Surface becomes the surface movement, the movement of the surface of the item that you want to replicate, which leads into the idea of texture now. You see, now this is where you start using dots, dashes, and all this stuff to make us believe if a surface is hard or soft or furry or smooth. You know what I mean? All those things are texture ideas. It's based upon surface movement or what we call directional forces at that moment. So the movement down the neck of the swan would be the movement of those feathers, and they go down and they go back to the buttock. So if you look at the picture of our swans, you'll see that movement. All the feathers are going towards the back, so that when it moves through the air or it moves through the water, it's more streamlined. Yeah. Yep. Yep. There you go. Notice how the feathers are turned. You see how they turned, like how the scales of the fish was for our Oh Boy Is Koi. Yeah. And notice how the roundness is going away from the front of the fish. That lets you know that's the back end of the feather for that area. The top parts is where the wings are folded down into the back, into the tail feather, so that everything stays streamlined, you know, until it's ready to fly. Yeah. And there you go. Yep. Fly away. Beautiful black swan. Yep. So it's not a butterfly, so I can't sing that song. Black butterfly. Flying through the sky. You know what I mean? Wings are going high. And I don't know the whole song, everybody, but don't make me do it like how I do in the shower now. You know, you start humming and the wings are going home into the wind. And you tearing the song up, but you fly. Yeah, let Nadine do the hand one. Fly through the sky.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, indeed. So we did it.
We did it. We made it.
There you go. 12 o'clock. We got our basic drawing in there. Next week, we'll go over more of the placement of the feathers using that micro marker,
Yeah.
and then starting the beginnings of our filling in with the watercolor and the graphite, water soluble graphite, everybody.
Yeah. Hope you guys like this.
Yeah, buddy.
I
It
wish I
looked
could.
pretty cool. It should look pretty cool with all the orange and the gold and everything
Oh
with the
yeah.
fish. Like once we get to that point when we fill in this, that's when everybody's gonna be like, oh.
Oh. Yeah, it's gonna be nice.
Yeah. So before we get off, everybody, this past Friday's opening that I partaked in the ACAG gallery at the Marriott Hotel in Philadelphia. It's called a community art gallery, ACAG. The show was wonderful. The
Right.
opening was wonderful. So I'll be putting pictures up later on today, everybody, and sharing to our website, to our page rather.
Right.
Let's paint and draw along. So you'll see how the turnout was good.
Right.
Some of the people from my classes were able to come. That made it fun.
Right.
And then you get to see me on the big jumbotron, as they call it, or the digital display. It's pretty cool how they had it set up. So if you do get a chance to get down there to see the show, it's going to be up all the way. Yeah, there you go. You see? And I don't have that charcoal piece on display, darn, because that's the 4 foot by 8 foot. But I have 4 pieces on display: mixed media, watercolor, graphite, and marker in that show in India ink.
Okay.
So it's from where it was from 7:30 to 9 p.m. That was the after party crawl, art crawl. But then before that, you can go to the art shows and stuff, and you can still see the show up. 1201 Market Street. Yeah, the entrance is on Filbert side. Yep. Or you can go to their website that they have and see where the viewing hours are.
Yep.
Yep. So it was a fun show. It was good to meet the other artists. Some of the artists are already new, and you get to see how we have fun in Philadelphia for a show. Right downtown.
That's how we
Right in the
do
mix
it.
of everything. Yeah. So many younger people came, and there was a lot of 50 and over people there that didn't want to be seen as 50, It's all good. But there you go. That's the end of this one, everybody. Yeah. Oh, let's end it the same way we started it off. Remember the lemon, everybody.
Remember the lemon, everybody. I gotta get some lemons.
Yep, in your life. Yep, and then that's the label that we talk about, everybody, that has the numbers on there. See, so it's an organic lemon because of the numbers. It has a what is it, a 6 on it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All
6
right.
and 9, 4 is safe. Doesn't mean it has any pesticides on it.
Right.
Yeah, that's it, everybody.
All right. You know the deal. We hope to see you soon.
All right, everybody.
As always, keep creating.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, everybody. Like and comment and share. Love y'all.
Peace.
Peace.
Keep creating.
Keep creating.
Creating.
Yeah.
All